Staying at Melissa's, don't wait up for me like a puppy, my wife mocked. She thought she was clever, until she came home and found Melissa wrapped around me, divorce papers on the table, and her double life collapsing in 10 seconds flat. Hey Reddit, not really sure where to start with this, but let's just say marriage taught me a lot more about silence, patterns, and patience than I ever expected. I, Mark, 34 male, am not here for sympathy, just to tell you how I figured out the truth the quiet way, one late night and one lie at a time. My wife Kendall, 31 female, stood in the doorway, looking like she'd already moved on from the long conversation we just had. I'm staying at Jenny's tonight, she said, digging through her bag like I was background noise. Girls' night. No husbands, no stress. I leaned against the fridge. Should I pack you a toothbrush or you guys sharing one like a true sisterhood moment? She rolled her eyes. I'm serious, Mark. I need this. She gave me that look women use when they want the last word without actually having one, then left. The smell of her perfume stayed longer than she did. 3 years married, and I could already tell the spark wasn't dimming anymore. It was evaporating. I run a small renovation crew. Kendall works in marketing for a clinic, which apparently means drinking $8 coffees and sending emails about free flu shots. We used to be a solid team, the kind of couple people ask to host barbecues because we didn't fight in front of guests. Lately, though, everything was different. She was always tired, always busy, always with that stupid phone in her hand, like it was a lifeline. The laughter stopped. She'd scroll during dinner and pretend to listen while her thumb kept moving. A few weeks before, I brought up kids again. I'd mentioned it plenty of times. We'd talked about starting a family since before we got married. I wanted a home full of noise, little sneakers by the door, the kind of chaos you actually look forward to after work. She didn't just brush it off this time. She laughed. Kids are a trap, Mark, she said, twirling her hair like she was on some reality show. They just suck your time and money. We're finally comfortable. Why would we throw that away? I stared at her. Because comfort isn't the same as a life. That kicked off a week-long Cold War. She started sleeping in late, leaving early, making herself a mystery. Kendall always thought she was smarter than everyone else. She called herself ambitious, but had no clue what that word meant. She started throwing little digs in public, too. One night we were at a friend's cookout, and I was telling Dan about fixing a cracked foundation. Kendall laughed loud enough for everyone to hear. Mark loves talking about dirt and nails like it's rocket science. Everyone chuckled politely. I smiled back at her. And Kendall loves pretending she knows what she's talking about. It's adorable. The laughter turned real after that, but not for her. She went quiet the rest of the night. At home, she called me petty. I called her out for being disrespectful. She said, "You take everything too seriously." Yeah, I told her. Like marriage. And that was the first time she didn't have a comeback. After that, I started noticing more patterns. The 9 p.m. texts from Jenny that didn't sound like Jenny. The late nights where her deadlines always came with fresh makeup. She still played the role of the responsible wife, but the script was wearing thin. One night during dinner, she sat scrolling again, giggling at her phone like a teenager. No phones, I said flatly. She blinked. Excuse me? I said no phones at the table. It's dinner, not tech support. You're being controlling, she snapped. No, I said, keeping my voice calm. I'm being married. There's a difference. She threw the phone on the table and leaned back. You're unbelievable. Yet somehow you believed me enough to marry me, I said. Funny how that works. She rolled her eyes again, her favorite exercise lately, and got up without finishing her food. I'm going to bed. Perfect, I said. Maybe your phone can tuck you in. That earned me silence for the rest of the night, which honestly felt like peace. A few days later, she tried playing the fun wife again, texting me during lunch, sending memes about couples who argue but still love each other. I didn't bite. You can't joke your way out of distance. That weekend, we went to a birthday dinner for her coworker. She spent the whole night glued to her coworkers, laughing too loud at things that weren't funny. When I tried joining in, she introduced me like a prop. This is Mark. He builds stuff. I smiled at the group. Yep, I also fix things, which is more than I can say for some people. Her smile froze just for a second. It was worth it. On the drive home, she went off about me embarrassing her. I'm the one embarrassing you, I said. You've been treating me like a background character for months. You're so dramatic, she muttered. Right, because asking for basic respect is drama now. She didn't answer. I didn't push. I'd already seen what I needed to. That night, I lay awake thinking about the person sleeping 10 feet away and realized she wasn't my wife anymore, just someone who used to be. I decided right there. I wasn't chasing her effort again. If she wanted out, she could walk herself there. From that night on, I stopped waiting up. I stopped checking in. And for the first time in months, I started feeling like myself again. I focused on work, on things that actually responded when I put effort in. The crew noticed. "You're early," Ben said one morning as I unlocked the shop before sunrise. "Yeah," I said. "Sleep's easier when the house isn't a crime scene." He chuckled, but I wasn't joking. That first week, I made a few quiet moves. Opened a private account. Moved my recent project income from my business account into it. Nothing crazy, just what I'd personally earned. I wasn't planning to vanish. I just wanted protection if she decided to play stupid later. Next, I changed the garage code and gave her the new one. But I set it so any entry after midnight pinged my phone. It wasn't spying, just insurance. If she wanted to come home at 2 a.m., fine, but I'd know. One night, she stumbled in late, half whispering to her phone, thinking I was asleep. She tried to walk quietly, but the ping hit my phone, and I watched her shadow cross the hallway. I didn't say a word. The old me would have asked where she'd been. The new me didn't care unless she walked in with a lawyer. A few days later, we were eating dinner in silence. She was poking at her salad while I scrolled through some measurements on my tablet. Out of nowhere, she said, "Can you pass the salt, Eric?" I froze. "Eric?" Her face went pale. "Oh my God, no. I meant Mark. I've been reading this book, and the main character's name is Eric. Total slip." I looked at her for a few seconds. She gave that fake little laugh people do when they're praying you buy it. "Right," I said, handing her the salt. "Must be one hell of a book." She nodded too fast, went back to eating. I didn't push it. I just logged it. You don't need to fight when people hand you evidence. She must have sensed the shift. The following week, she suddenly became the world's most attentive wife. She came home early one evening with dessert. "From that bakery you like," she said, placing the box on the counter like she was offering peace. "Nice," I said. "Trying to butter me up or just feeding me before another girls' night?" She forced a laugh. "You're impossible." "Yeah," I said. "That's what makes me memorable." She unpacked the dessert and started talking about her day, how her team at work was annoying, how her new boss didn't understand her creative side. I nodded at the right spots but didn't give her much. That night, she suggested watching a show together, something she hadn't done in months. She curled up next to me on the couch like everything was fine. I didn't move away, but I didn't play along either. I wasn't stupid. Guilt looks a lot like affection when someone's scared of getting caught. During a commercial, she looked at me and said, "You've been different lately." Quieter. "Yeah," I said, eyes still on the screen. "Peaceful, right?" She frowned. "That's not what I meant." "I know," I said. "I'm just clarifying." Later that week, she tried again. She came into the shop during lunch with takeout. "Surprise," she said. Ben raised an eyebrow and quietly walked out the back. I wiped my hands. "What's the occasion?" She smiled like she was auditioning for something. "You've been working too much. Thought I'd bring you something." "Appreciate it," I said, opening the container. "You didn't poison it, right?" She forced another laugh. "You're so dramatic." "Yeah," I said. "I get that a lot, from people who think lying's a personality trait." She blinked, caught off guard. "Excuse me?" "Nothing," I said, digging into the food. "Just thinking out loud." We ate in awkward silence until she checked her phone and said she had to run back to the clinic. I told her not to rush on my account. When she left, Ben peeked back in. "You two good?" "Never better," I said. "She's finally consistent." "Consistent?" "Yeah," I said, smiling. "Consistently fake." That night, while she pretended to read beside me, I started listing out what needed to be done. Secure my finances, already done. Get proof, working on it. Contact Tony, my cousin who handles legal stuff. I wasn't angry anymore, just focused. There's a difference between being bitter and being prepared. She didn't know it, but every fake smile she gave me just made me calmer. When someone shows you who they are, stop trying to repaint the picture. The next time she said she was staying late for work, I didn't ask when she'd be home. I just noted the time, checked the garage alert, and saved it in my head. I'd stopped guessing. Now it was time to start verifying. The opportunity showed up 3 nights later like it had an invitation. Kendall poked her head into the living room, holding her phone. "Ellie's in a bind," she said. "She needs help with this big marketing pitch. I might swing by her place for a few hours." I didn't even look up from my laptop. "Of course," I said, saving the world one PowerPoint at a time. She gave me that fake smile that says, "I don't know if he's serious or not," then disappeared down the hallway. I texted Ben asking if he still had that old tracker phone, the one we used for GPS on delivery days. It wasn't for tracking tonight, just a burner with a decent camera. He replied almost instantly, "Yeah, why?" I told him I needed to borrow it tonight. A minute later, he wrote back, "You finally gonna find out what I think you're gonna find out?" I answered, "Just verifying her schedule." He didn't text again after that. Ben's been married twice. He knows when silence is smarter than advice. He met me outside the shop 15 minutes later, leaning against his truck. "Here," he said, handing me the phone. "And Mark, don't do anything stupid." "I'm past stupid," I said. "I'm in the evidence phase." By the time I got home, Kendall was on her way. I watched through the window as a taxi pulled up. She got in, all done up for a late-night work project. Her outfit didn't say PowerPoint. It said audition. I waited a few minutes, then ordered a ride of my own. The driver was one of those chatty types. "Following someone?" he asked, half joking when I gave directions to stay behind a yellow cab. "Just making sure GPS doesn't lie," I said. The taxi turned onto the highway, then into downtown, pulling up near a row of riverfront restaurants. I told the driver to hang back 2 cars and slow down. I wasn't interested in a scene, just the truth. He nodded, keeping a quiet distance, then stopped a block away. "There's a patio," the driver said. "You want me to park here?" "Yeah," I said. Perfect view of my stupidity. He laughed like it was a joke. It wasn't. I watched through the windshield as she got out of the taxi. Her face glowed under the streetlight, the kind of effort you don't waste on spreadsheets. Then he appeared. A guy in a navy blazer, about my height, hair slicked back, the kind of smug walk that usually comes with a gym membership and zero self-awareness. He stood from a table on the patio and waved. She walked straight to him. No hesitation, no scanning the crowd. I muttered, "Well, if it isn't Eric jumping straight out of your book." They hugged like people who'd done it before. Not the awkward side hug friends give. No, this one had muscle memory. His hand slid to her lower back, and she let it stay there. The driver looked at me in the mirror, unsure if he should say something. "You want me to stop?" he asked quietly. "Keep going," I said. "Just circle the block." We looped around. I stepped out on the side street, pretending to check my phone. From where I stood, I could see them clearly. She laughed, touched his wrist, leaned in close. They looked like a scene from the kind of movie people get divorced over. I took out the tracker phone and snapped a few photos. No zoom-ins, no theatrics, just enough to confirm the obvious. Then I emailed them to myself, double-saved them in a folder labeled Invoices. Standing there, watching her lie in real time, I felt weirdly calm, like the moment before a storm when you already know which way the wind's blowing. I didn't hate her. I didn't even feel betrayed anymore. I just felt done. I ordered another ride and headed home. The driver this time didn't talk, just music playing low. I stared out the window, thinking about the list I'd written last week. Financial security, proof, legal prep. One by one, the boxes were checking themselves. When I got home, I sat at the table. I opened my laptop and sent Tony an email with the subject line, "Need to start paperwork." In the message, I kept it short, straightforward, no circus. Let's keep it clean. Tony's my cousin, a lawyer who handles family cases. He's not the type to gossip or pry. He just gets things done. When the defamation mess started later, he looped in a litigator at his firm for that part, but kept steering everything else himself. About an hour later, he replied asking if I was sure about this. I wrote back that I was as sure as I've ever been about anything. He didn't push after that. Just said he'd get started and let me know when the documents were ready. I sent him the photos and the timeline. He didn't ask for gossip, just said, "Give me a week." Around midnight, the garage alert pinged on my phone. She was back. I turned off the porch light and waited. She came in quiet, tiptoeing like she was in a heist movie. I could hear her shoes drop by the door, her phone buzzing once, then silence. She peeked into the living room, saw me half asleep on the couch, and whispered, "Hey, you're up." "Barely," I said, voice flat. "Sorry, Ellie's project ran long. You know how she is." "Yeah," I said, always keeping people busy. She smiled awkwardly, kissed my cheek like a stranger, and went to shower. I watched her walk down the hallway and thought, "You have no idea I'm already gone." Later that week, she started acting sweet again, brought takeout to the shop, laughed at my jokes that weren't funny, even wore the perfume I used to like. I played along, smiled where I should, nodded at the right spots. But the difference was, she was pretending to love me. And I was pretending I didn't already have proof that she didn't. A week passed, and Kendall must have felt the distance. She was trying harder again. Fake laughs, long hugs that didn't land, and those "hey stranger" texts. She was scrambling, the kind of energy people get when they sense the ground under them shifting. Then, on a Thursday night, she hit me with another one of her late plans. She walked into the kitchen, dressed up like she was going somewhere that required effort. Melissa's having a rough week, she said, grabbing her keys. I'm going to stay over at her place on the weekend. She needs company. I nodded, barely looking up from the invoices on my laptop. You're a good friend, I said. Tell her I said hi. She froze for half a second, probably not expecting me to be so chill. Yeah, okay, she said, fumbling for her purse. The second she walked out, I picked up my phone and called Melissa. I didn't text first. I wanted tone, not words. She answered on the second ring. Hey, Mark. Everything okay? Depends, I said. Will Kendall be at your place this weekend? Melissa laughed so hard she actually coughed. You're kidding, right? I haven't talked to that woman in months. Figured, I said. She just told me she's staying with you. Wow, that's rich. Her tone turned sharp. After what she did, you know what happened between us, right? I leaned back in the chair. Not really, but enlighten me. Melissa sighed. She hit on my boyfriend last year. Told me she was testing him. He failed. I dumped them both the same night. Haven't spoken to either since. That tracked perfectly with Kendall's personality. Messy, self-righteous, and convinced she could flirt her way through any moral boundary. I caught her with another guy, I said flatly. Got photos and everything. She doesn't know yet. There was silence for a second, then Melissa's voice came back lower. You serious? Dead serious. Then she deserves what's coming. I smiled. You read my mind. Melissa chuckled, but there was a bite to it. So what's your plan? I don't want to humiliate her, I said. Just want her to choke on her own hypocrisy. She's been playing the saint while living a double life. I want her to see what that looks like from the outside. I'm in, she said immediately. Whatever you need. It didn't surprise me. Melissa was the type who didn't bluff. If she said she was in, she'd follow through. We started talking logistics. I told her Kendall thought she'd be gone for the night, which gave us time. Melissa suggested she come over and make it look like I'd moved on. Not over the top, just enough to make Kendall question her reality. She's always been territorial, Melissa said. If she sees another woman where she used to stand, she'll lose it. Good, I said. Let her feel the storm she built. Melissa paused. You sure you're okay doing this? Melissa, I said, smirking. I build houses for a living. You think I don't know how to handle a little demolition? That made her laugh. Okay, contractor. You want wine or something for props? No need, I said. If she thinks I drink with another woman, she'll implode. Let's keep it simple. Conversation, maybe a little closeness. Enough to make the story write itself. Got it, she said. And Mark? Yeah? Don't hold back. She owes you this one. By the time I hung up, the plan was clean, quiet, and surgical. I wasn't doing it for revenge. I was doing it for clarity. Some people need a mirror shoved in their face before they see the cracks. That evening, she sat beside me on the couch scrolling through her phone, pretending she was relaxed. I glanced at her screen reflection in the TV and saw her texting someone named E. I didn't comment. Just looked back at the screen and smiled. Don't stay up too late texting your boss, I said casually. She jumped a little. What? No, I'm just... Relax, I said, still smirking. You don't have to explain. I trust you. Her eyes narrowed, like she was trying to decode my tone. She didn't find the answer she wanted. The next day, Kendall ran out at 4 saying she's going to Melissa's. Around 6, Melissa showed up wearing jeans and a smirk that could start a fire. You ready? She asked, stepping inside. As I'll ever be, I said. We didn't plan to make a scene. We sat close on the couch, talking, laughing. Nothing fake, just comfortable. Melissa had this calm confidence that filled the room. If Kendall walked in, she'd instantly sense that energy. She really messed up, huh? Melissa said, flipping through a photo on her phone of her old boyfriend. That's him, the idiot who fell for her fake charm. Guess the guy in the blazer joined the club, I said. She shook her head. She's one of those people who think attention equals value. Yeah, I said. But soon she'll learn that attention comes with consequences. While Melissa was putting on dinner, she asked me, You sure you want her to walk in on this? She's going to explode. That's the point, I said. She's been writing this script for months. I'm just letting her read the ending. Melissa smiled, slow and satisfied. You're colder than I thought. Not cold, I said, locking the door behind her. Just finished being the nice guy. I poured a glass of water, leaned against the counter, and whispered to myself, if she wants chaos, I'll give her truth. At 8:17 p.m., I saw headlights crawl up the driveway through the blinds. Her car. Early. I didn't flinch. Instead, I gave Melissa a look from across the room. She smiled, confident, and moved closer to me on the couch. We were watching some random home renovation show for realism's sake. The kind of background noise that made everything feel normal until it didn't. Showtime, I said quietly. Melissa leaned in closer, her hand brushing my arm. She's gonna lose her mind. That's the goal, I said, smirking. We shifted closer until our shoulders touched. The front door clicked. Kendall's heels hit the entry tile hard, fast, like she was already angry before she even saw anything. Mark, she called out. She turned the corner into the living room and froze. There we were, Melissa sitting beside me, our faces inches apart, like a moment paused mid-confession. I didn't even need to act surprised. Her expression did all the work, eyes wide, hand twitching like she wanted to throw something. What the hell is this? She snapped, voice already trembling. I looked at her, calm as a wall. Oh, you came back early? I said, what the hell is this? She yelled this time. A conversation. I smirked. You just walked in during the interesting part. Melissa bit her lip to stop from smiling. Kendall's eyes darted between us. Are you serious right now? You bring her here. Didn't you say you were staying with her? I asked, tilting my head. I figured we could all catch up. Her mouth fell open, no sound coming out. She looked like a glitching robot. You're disgusting, she shouted finally. You're cheating on me in our house. I laughed once, low and sharp. That's funny. Coming from the woman who treats date night like overtime. Don't play games with me, Mark, she screamed, stepping closer. You're insane if you think I'll let this go. Let it go? I said, standing up slowly. Kendall, you already did. Months ago. She raised her hand like she was about to slap me, but I caught her wrist midair. Calm, firm, no shouting, no shaking. Don't, I said quietly. You're not walking out of this with another performance? I softly pushed her back. She widened her eyes like she didn't believe what's happening. You don't know what you're talking about? Oh, I do, I said. I know about the restaurant, your book guy, the fake nights with Ellie, the so-called stays at Melissa's. You want me to keep going? Or should we just call it what it is? Practice for single life? Her entire face drained of color. Let's just say I stopped believing bedtime stories, I cut in. You lied so much you started recycling them. Melissa leaned back against the couch, arms crossed, watching like it was her favorite movie. Kendall turned toward her, pointing. You're part of this? You're a snake. Melissa laughed out loud. Oh, please. You hit on my boyfriend, remember? You're lucky I didn't flatten you months ago. Kendall blinked like she couldn't process reality fast enough. That's not... You don't understand? Oh, I understand perfectly, Melissa said. You're just mad someone finally played your game better. I walked to the console table by the wall, picked up the manila envelope Tony had sent over, and turned back to Kendall. You don't get to rewrite this story, I said, holding it out. This is your exit script. She looked down at it but didn't take it. What is that? Divorce papers, I said. Already drafted. All you need to do is sign. Her lip quivered. For a moment, she wasn't angry anymore. Just small. Defeated. The queen without her crown. You can't just... I can, I said simply. And I did. You lost the right to decide what's next when you decided to crawl into someone else's passenger seat. She shook her head, tears forming but not falling. You set me up, she said quietly. This was planned. I nodded once. You bet it was. Melissa stood up beside me, smirking. Honestly, Kendall, you made it too easy. Get out, Kendall shouted at her. Get out of my house. Melissa grinned wider. Technically, it's his. Kendall went pale again, jaw trembling. You're both sick. Maybe, I said, but at least we're honest about it. She looked like she wanted to scream, but couldn't find the words. Her hand trembled as she finally grabbed the envelope, staring at it like it might explode. Melissa stepped closer, voice dripping with sarcasm. So, Mark, I guess you're available now? Kendall's eyes snapped to her, filled with rage. You think this is funny? Honestly? Melissa said, grinning. Yeah, that broke her. Kendall dropped the envelope, spun around, and stormed toward the door. You'll regret this, she yelled, grabbing her keys. I folded my arms. Already regretted marrying you. Everything after that's been an upgrade. She slammed the door hard enough to rattle a picture frame, then tore out of the driveway. Silence followed. Real silence. Melissa looked at me, still half smiling. Well, she said, that was satisfying. Yeah, I said, letting out a slow breath. I'd call it closure with flair. Melissa sat too, crossing her legs, still smirking. So, what now? Now, I said. Now I enjoy the peace and quiet she always claimed she needed. Melissa leaned back with a small laugh, shaking her head. You're dangerous, Mark. Only when someone mistakes kindness for weakness, I said. She smiled, that mischievous kind of grin. Fair enough. When she left later, the house stayed still. No tension, no lies echoing in the walls. For the first time in a long time, I could breathe. And I did. Deeply, easily, like a man who finally walked out of someone else's chaos and into his own calm. For about a week, it was silent. No calls, no texts, nothing. I figured maybe she'd accepted it. Maybe she'd finally packed up her drama and left it somewhere else. But Kendall was never the kind of person who left quietly. It started with whispers. A mutual friend texted me out of the blue, "Hey man, I don't know what's going on between you two, but Kendall's been saying you cheated on her with Melissa?" I laughed out loud at the message. Of course, that's where she'd go. Flip the story, make herself the victim, and hope people didn't notice the irony. A few hours later, one of her coworkers messaged me on Facebook. "Did you really have an affair?" Kendall's been really broken up about it. Broken up? She'd been cheating for months. I didn't even bother replying. People like her count on reactions. I wasn't giving her one. But she wasn't stopping at private gossip. She took it public. A post showed up on her Instagram story. Sometimes the people who preach loyalty the loudest are the first to betray you. Lesson learned. The best part? She tagged Melissa in one of them. Big mistake. Melissa doesn't do passive-aggressive. She does aggressive-aggressive. The next morning, Melissa sent me a screenshot. She'd posted a long note on her own page with proof. Screenshots of texts between Kendall and Melissa's old boyfriend. Explicit ones. The ones where Kendall had bragged about testing him and then laughed about winning. Melissa captioned it, "Since people want to play victim, here's what actually happened. Don't throw stones when your house is built on lies." It blew up fast. Half of Kendall's comment section disappeared overnight. A few of her coworkers even unfollowed her. She tried replying at first, saying the screenshots were fake, but Melissa hit her with timestamps, contact names, and matching DMs. It was like watching someone dig their own grave in high definition. By the end of that day, Kendall's halo had officially slipped off and rolled under traffic. Then came phase 2 of her meltdown, My Business. She went on a local review site and created an anonymous account, really creative username like Home Fixer Victim, and posted a photo of a water-damaged room with the caption, "This contractor did this to my house. Sloppy work, mold everywhere. Do not hire." The photo wasn't even my work. I could tell immediately. The tools in the background were from a different brand entirely. But that didn't matter online. People love a scandal. It took about 2 hours before one of my regular clients, Jenna, saw it. She's the kind of woman who keeps receipts on everything, literally. She commented right under the post, "That's hilarious because Mark just finished my basement last month, and it looks better than my kitchen. Also, the picture you used is from a renovation blog posted in 2018. Maybe next time steal smarter." Then she attached before and after photos of the work I'd done for her, tagged me and wrote, "If you want honest work, this is your guy." The fake review vanished within an hour. The account that posted it was deleted soon after. Kendall tried one more stunt. Texted one of my crew members pretending to be a potential client, asking for discounts for new friends. The number was obviously hers. I recognized it before he even showed me. I didn't respond to that either. I just took screenshots of everything. By Monday, I called Tony, my cousin and lawyer. "You still got that file open?" I asked. "Always," he said. "Why, what's she done now?" "Defamation," I told him. "She's posting lies, fake reviews, trying to ruin my business." He sighed like he'd expected it. "You want me to send her a cease and desist or go full claim?" "Full claim," I said. "No more warnings." Tony didn't waste time. Within 2 days, she was served with the complaint. Clean papers, direct message, "Stop lying or see me in court." She tried calling after that. Twice. I didn't answer. Let her argue with the voicemail. Melissa texted me a few days later with another update. "She's trying to get sympathy again," she wrote. Posted a quote about being betrayed by people who fake evidence. I replied, "Guess she's allergic to accountability." Melissa sent back a laughing emoji and wrote, "She's tanking herself. You don't even have to do anything." She was right. By the end of the week, Kendall's reputation was dust. Someone leaked that she'd been reprimanded for unprofessional behavior, probably the HR version of, "You're one strike from fired." The day my lawyer told me the defamation filing was officially recorded, I felt that same peace I had the night she walked out. Quiet, cold, and permanent. I didn't ruin her life. She did that herself. I just stopped protecting the version of her she sold to everyone else. And this time, I wasn't lifting a finger to clean it up. Turns out, I didn't have to. Karma clocked in early and didn't take a lunch break. The guy Kendall had been sneaking around with Mr. Blazer from the restaurant, turned out to be a complete fraud. He wasn't some big marketing director like she told her friends. He was a consultant, which apparently meant unemployed with Wi-Fi. The rumors spread fast after he bounced a rent check and ghosted half the city. Word got back to me through one of Kendall's old co-workers. Apparently, she'd been bragging at work about how amazing he was, how he understood her better than anyone. 2 weeks later, he vanished. Deleted socials, changed numbers, gone. Left her with a mess and a reality she couldn't pretty filter. I'd be lying if I said I didn't smirk when I heard it. Not because I wanted her hurt, just because it felt fair. By the next month, she'd been called into HR at the clinic. Her boss apparently got tired of the drama she kept dragging in. Between the gossip, the screenshots floating around, and the online mess she created, it wasn't a great look for their family values brand. She was let go by mutual agreement. That's corporate talk for you're fired, but we'll let you keep a little dignity if you walk fast. A few months later, the divorce papers were finalized. I got the call from Tony. He said, "Congratulations, you're officially free." "Never thought paperwork could feel this satisfying," I said. He laughed. "You handled it cleaner than most. Proud of you." "Thanks," I said. "Guess all those years of measuring twice paid off." He chuckled. "Yeah, and you cut once. Clean cut. After that, life just settled. I didn't realize how loud things had been until they weren't. The shop got busier. My crew joked that I'd started smiling more. I didn't even notice it at first, but they were right. Then one afternoon, Melissa dropped by the shop. She came in wearing her usual no-nonsense smirk and holding 2 coffees. "Peace offering," she said, handing me one. "I didn't know we were at war," I said, taking it. She shrugged. "Figured it's polite to show up with caffeine after helping you start a mini earthquake." "Hey, I didn't start it," I said, grinning. I just handed her the matches. She laughed, sitting on one of the workbenches. "You're very smooth, Mark. You didn't even have to raise your voice. You just let her trip over her own nonsense." "Loud people dig fast," I said. "Quiet ones just watch the hole get deeper." Melissa sipped her coffee, eyeing the new shelving unit I'd built behind her. "You know," she said, "for a guy who builds things, you're pretty good at tearing down lies." "I'll take that as a compliment," I said. "It was one," she said, hopping off the bench. "You ever think about dating again?" I shrugged. "Not yet. I'm still under renovation." She laughed at that, shaking her head. "Fair enough." We spent the next half hour just talking. About work, about her new apartment, about how everyone around town still whispered about Kendall's downfall, like it was a community event. "She tried to text me again last week," Melissa said, rolling her eyes. "Said she wanted to clear the air." I told her the air was fine where I was. "Classic Kendall," I said. "Can't stand not having the last word." "She already had it," Melissa said. "It was goodbye." That line made me laugh more than I expected. She smiled when she heard it. When she left, she gave me that same look she'd given the night of the setup, playful but grounded. "Take care, Mark," she said, stepping toward the door. "You too, Melissa. Try not to scare off too many people with that honesty thing." She winked. "No promises." After she drove off, I stood there in the quiet workshop, coffee in hand, and looked around at everything that had changed. Not just the place, but me. No anger, no bitterness, just stillness. Kendall's name didn't sting anymore. It was just another lesson filed away, like bad measurements or cheap tools. You mess up once, you learn. Now, when people ask if I'd ever take her back, I just smile and say, why would I rebuild something that was never level to begin with? And when I lock up the shop at night, the quiet doesn't bother me anymore. It feels earned. Because after everything, the lies, the chaos, the noise, I finally built something that didn't fall apart. Myself. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.